How's it going, guys? So the offseason is fully underway for the Green Bay Packers, and as usually at the end of the year, the Green Bay Packers have announced pretty much 13 players that they have signed to futures contracts. And if you're wondering what future contracts are, they're essentially just minimally 1-year deals for players that were on the practice squad. You can sign other players that weren't on the practice squad, but typically they go to practice squad players. So the Packers did announce they signed 13 players to a futures contracts. 9 of them were already on the practice squad, which consists of quarterback Danny Etling, running back Tyler Goodson, wide receiver Jeff Cotton, tight end Austin Allen, another tight end Nick Gogamos, offensive lineman Gene Delancey, defensive lineman Chris Slayton, outside linebacker Ladarius Hamilton, and cornerback Keandre Thomas. And out of those 9 players, pretty much only Ladarius Hamilton actually played and was on the active roster this season. He played 24 defensive snaps and 26 special team snaps over 3 games. Pretty much not accounting to anything, but he is one of the 9 players that were activated. Tyler Goodson was activated at one point, but he didn't see any play. But to add to Tyler Goodson as well, he did see a bulk of the snaps during the preseason this year, and it looked like he was going to get the number 3 running back slot over Kylan Hill, and then, well, we just went with 2 running backs, which was a bit of a shock, but so he went to the practice squad. He was released from the practice squad during the season, and then he came back, and we have officially signed him to a futures deal. And then the other 4 players that we did sign that weren't part of our practice squad was cornerback Tyrell Ford, cornerback Benji Franklin, safety James Wiggins, and kicker Parker White. Most of these players, which isn't really going to be too shocking, haven't really done much in their career in the NFL. The first one, we have Tyrell Ford. He is actually a 24-year-old Canadian, national and former CFL player. He played in 18 games and made 10 special team tackles for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Then Benji Franklin, he was actually on our practice squad at the beginning of the season, but throughout the season, as roster pretty much players were needed, and we started to try to get some depth from our practice squad, he was let go. And it looks like the Packers did kind of like what they saw at the beginning, and since we pretty much have an open roster now that the season's over, they've re-signed him to a futures contract. And then the last person to kind of note out of the outsiders is Parker White. What's kind of interesting is he is actually the only kicker that is currently signed to a contract for the Green Bay Packers now, as Mason Crosby's contract is set to expire this year, and we don't even know if he's going to A, retire, or B, get re-signed, or C, let go. And fellow kickers that we had on the practice squad that got elevated from time to time in Ramiz Ahmad and Matt Amendola have not been signed to a futures contract, so they are also not under contract for the Green Bay Packers. So right now, I don't know if we're going to sign them. I feel like they will eventually get re-signed to a contract, or at least Ramiz Ahmad could get signed to a futures contract. But as of right now, we only have Parker White officially on the roster. And of course, not everyone on the practice squad got offered a futures contract or has been signed to a futures contract. We've had 7 players officially that have not signed to a futures contract, which are wide receiver Juwan Winfrey, wide receiver Travis Fulgham, offensive lineman Michael Minette, outside linebacker Tim Ward, inside linebacker DQ Thomas, and of course the kickers in Ramiz Ahmad and Matt Amendola. I see Ahmad and Juwan Winfrey at least getting signed to futures contracts, but it could also kind of depend, at least in Juwan Winfrey's state, what the rest of the receivers do. But I feel like he started coming along and he had a good preseason finally. He's kind of just always had the injury bug, so he could be actually signed to a futures contract again. But this is kind of just a standard procedure with the Packers and pretty much every NFL football team after the season's over. But I just wanted to give a quick update of some of the roster moves that the Packers made as we go through this very interesting offseason time, especially with the unknown with Aaron Rodgers. And a lot of this is going to depend on Aaron Rodgers. But let me know what you think down in the comments. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, go Pack Go.